All right, let's get you plugged in. There. Gotta check the circle. Send it. It's circle. All right. It's not booting. All right, let's take a look at it. All right, so Nextcloud Pi right here. All right, so come out here and I scroll down. Online services at home. Nextcloud Pi runs in a variety of systems. Easy to set up for non-technical users. Very good. Manage your backups, automatic security updates, security features, Samba, and NFS. Direct access to your files in your local network. Very nice. Okay, they got the documentation. Here's the community. Here's updates. Yeah, it's on Mastodon, but whatever. Get the code. Okay. Well, that's pretty. Nice to have. It'd be nice to have a dedicated little box that's branded by them specifically. That's very nice. Okay, installation. LXD container image. Okay. Any system that supports LXC containers. I think there's also an LXD. Okay, pre-installed SD card images. Okay, that's where I want to go. So, and that's at the bottom, so I go there. Okay, 157.1. Okay. Okay, here are the verification checksums right in here for all of these different ones. So we got Odroid, Orange Pi, Raspberry Pi 4. Yeah. Wow, I'm trying to run it on a 3, so I need the 3. And I am not seeing that. That would be why. Raspberry Pi 4 Plus. All right, fine. Okay. All right. Okay, so Hopefunger has 5 units, 3B plus, a 3B, a 3B, a 3B, and a 5. 2 of the 3Bs aren't being used. I want to use a 3B to test. Can't do that. The 5 is currently a production unit. And I've got a file sync. I have to take one for the team. All right, I'm going to get that downloaded and burnt over to the SD card that I've got in one of the 3Bs and get it up there. All right, here we go. All right, welcome on back to the Anchorage. And yeah, previous video, I talked about Nextcloud Pi. Running Nextcloud, an all-in-one cloud solution for personal use on a Raspberry Pi. That would be this guy. This is a 3B. This may have been the one that I used Nextcloud Pi for 6 years ago for a while. And of course I stopped, like I mentioned. At some point later on, Nextcloud Pi became an official project of Nextcloud. And, you know, I didn't go back to it or anything like that because I found another Nextcloud solution from the lovely folks over at Disroot. And came up with, but I wanted to just move forward with that, and it was perfectly fine. Well, I've got the 5. The Pi 5 that was donated to the channel by Mythos is an associate from the Switch to Linux group channel. And, you know, I discuss things with them all the time. We hang out on Wednesday nights. It's a great time. We discuss, you know, articles for the weekly news roundup and all the Happy Joy stuff. But, you know, he had donated that 5 for me to use with videos. And of course, I've been doing that. I'm going to continue to do that with this, mainly because, as you just saw from the listing, I can't use Nextcloud Pi on here. This is a 3B. I can't use it on one of these. So, unfortunately, not going to be able to do that. However, I do have the 5. It is a production. I do have a file sync, stuff like that, but it's like, can I move away from what I'm doing with that particular function on that 5 and go with Nextcloud Pi? Sure, I could absolutely do that. Mainly because my file sync, I've got the files out there on that unit nicknamed CJ. And that sync actually has a copy of all of those files on Solaria. So there's a copy there. I do all my edits on Solaria, and of course the sync then syncs it up with that to house all of the data up on that 5. So, well, we're going to be able to do that with Nextcloud Pi, and let's talk about Nextcloud Pi. Or Nextcloud in general first. Okay, so you got Google Drive, you've got Microsoft's OneDrive, you've got Dropbox, and of course there's a whole slew of others. Mega, formerly Mega Download, you got Mega as well, things of that sort. And with that, it's like when you send files to those services, yeah, you have access to them and stuff like that, but behind the scenes, you're effectively giving ownership of those files to those big tech outfits. And I don't agree with that. Will I ever put anything out there and stuff like that? I think I did to Google Drive. I just put out a text file to say, I ain't doing this. Whatever. I want my data here in my home, on my infrastructure, on a computer of mine. I could do it on this computer. I could do it on Solaria. I could do it on a laptop. I could do it on the machine that I play with. That's running Windows 11 right now. I could do it on that if I really wanted to. But back in back in 17, so effectively 9 years ago, I started playing with these guys, and this is part of my Raspberry Pi journey, or if you want to say it a little softly, this is part of my journey. So okay, anyways, I wanted here stuff like that. I was on the project for a short stint for Nextcloud Pi 6 years ago, and of course I stopped using it and things of that sort, and just moved on. And now, for the sake of the Raspberry Pi 5, I am going to swing back around and try to use Nextcloud Pi with the Pi 5. Ultimately, I want this unit to be a production machine or card for the use with Switch to Linux and my own channel, this one right here, for those purposes, and I'll use a file sync as well. So, why don't we take a look a little bit at that website and, discuss Nextcloud Pi in general real quick. And then we're going to get into actually getting it loaded and installed. So let's do that. Okay, so we're out on Nextcloud Pi's website. It's very plain, not overly fancy. That's nice. Let's just get straight down to the data. Okay, Nextcloud Pi, keep your data close. So, nice little tagline. Keep it in your home, keep it on your systems. Your online services are at home. This is where you can control it. Easy setup for non-technical users. Well, yeah, it's easy setup. Okay, good, awesome. Manage your backups. You can have your own backups on your own infrastructure. Not putting it out there on the internet for everybody to steal and, risk, ID theft and things of that sort. Automatic security updates. That's good. Security features, firewall, WAF, failed to ban, A+ grade in SSL labs and more. Samba, NFS, direct access to your files in your local network. That's good. And there we go. So they got links here for documentation. They have a community. It's kind of like a message board system. Updates out on the Fediverse, which is their page is Mastodon, which is where I was involved for that little stint that I did. And then of course you can look at the code itself. All right, so Nextcloud Pi is a Nextcloud instance that is pre-installed, pre-configured, and includes a management interface with all the tools you need to self-host your own private data in a single package. This is an official open source community project that aims at making it easier for everyone to have control over their own data. Nextcloud Pi is free, thriving only by your own help, feedback, and support. Features and extras. Okay, features. Debian 11 Bullseye, latest Nextcloud, Apache, PHP, MariaDB. That's the database. Redis memory cache, cron jobs for Nextcloud, pre-installed popular apps for home use, calendar, contacts, notes, tasks. There might be another one or two in there, but at the same time, they've got plenty of others that you can get. Emoji support, that's fun. Postfix email, that's good. And it is secure, very nice. Okay, and then extras, setup wizard, Wi-Fi ready, RAM logs, blah, 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 all the way down. Samba ready to share your files with Windows, Mac, and Linux. Very nice. USB auto mount, very nice. That's going to be really good. I'm going to have to utilize that auto mount, and I'll talk about that when the time comes. Format USB drive to BTRFS, very nice. ZRAM, smart hard drive, health monitoring, very nice. Okay, so we're going to close those up. LXD container image. So run Nextcloud Pi in any system that supports LXC containers. That's kind of funny. LXD container image for LXC containers. DC, what? It's whatever, doesn't matter. It's not for me at least. And I got a nice picture here of a Nextcloud Pi on a case for the Raspberry Pi. That's pretty cool. You might be able to buy that. I don't know. It's none of mine. Never mind. There are pre-installed SD card images for the Raspberry Pi and other single board computers. Excellent. And then the footer here says Nextcloud Pi open source community project, and you've got a link here to the GitHub repository. That's very nice. So if we go out here to the pre-installed card images, it comes out to GitHub. So that's where we are. And yeah, it comes straight to it. This is the latest version. 157.1. So from 4.14. Okay, so April 14th. Various fixes. Included software, Nextcloud 3302. PHP 8.3, Debian Bookworm, and Armbian. Very nice. And it talks about their fixes. In the check, you got a link here to the changelog. So you can see the expanded changelog. And then you get the checksums. Now, what are these for? These are for verifying that, if you download this, you can actually verify the checksum between what is listed here and what is actually contained within the image that you download. That is to make sure that what you're downloading is, 100% what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to match up with this because this is what they've got published out there. And they've got a listing of all of the different distributions of sorts that they've got out there. So we got Odroid, Orange Pi, Raspberry Pi 4 Plus. That's where I figured out my problem. Orange Pi again, Odroid, Rocket Pro. Okay. So you got Rock 64, LXC, LXD. And that is both on ARM64 and on x86. Okay, very nice. Well, what I'm going to want is this guy. So I'm going to want to download that. So it's listed all down here. These are all those packages. So I am going to want to download the Pi 4 Plus. So I'm going to do that right now. And it pop-ups up, but you may or may not be able to see it. Probably not. No, never mind. It's downloading, and it takes about 15 to 20 seconds to download. Okay. So, and then of course we got other versions down here. if people so wish to take that. But this is the latest, so we've got the actual downloads available of the latest. So there we go. All right, so we are going to end that there, and yeah, I'll be right back. Okay, so I've got that downloaded, and yeah, wanted to do it on 3B, but I'm gonna have to do it on the 5. I'll have to push the current use case for the 5 to the side so that I can go forward with this video. There we go. So I am going to move over to Solaria, my Linux box, to actually do that download again, because I am going to use my I'm gonna burn that image onto the SD card that I've got in one of the 3Bs currently. And then I'm going to move that over to the 5 so that we can get it going. So once I do that, basically, you download the image. It's basically a zipped archive. So what you need to do is extract the archive. And you can do that using an archive utility such as WinZip or 7-Zip or something like that. And then you need to basically burn or copy everything that's in there onto the SD card. And because the whole idea is that you get that download, you extract everything, you put it onto the SD card, you put the card into the unit, you plug it in, and you're off. It just goes. So I'm going to do that, and yeah, I'll be back. Okay, I've gone over onto Solaria, and I have downloaded Nextcloud Pi, and I've extracted it. It was a zip file, and when I extract it, it comes out to be an image file, .img. So I burnt that image file onto an NVMe drive, which happens to be inside of here. This is a Ugreen external USB NVMe enclosure, and it just slides and snaps into place like that. And boop, there's the drive right there. Here it is. So this drive is the one that came with my Windows box, this box that this is being recorded on. It was the one that came from the SI, which happened to be Newegg, with my 3070 and all that happy joy, whatnot. But I upgraded the that NVMe drive right away to a Samsung 980 Pro, and I kept this one as a spare. And what do you know? I can go ahead and use it now. It's 1 terabyte. So just like this guy, this is a hard drive, platter drive, and it is also 1 terabyte. That what I want to do is for the day-to-day operation, it'll be on here. And then what I plan to do with this is use it as my backup. So I can take a drive image of this every so often and save that image file onto here, so that should this one decide to go kibosh for one reason or another, I can just reflash this with the copy that's on here. This is a magnetic drive, and therefore it has a lot more longevity, because once the data is magnetically placed on there, it's good forever within reason. So what I have to do now is I have to take that Pi case, it's in a mini tower. I have to disassemble the tower like halfway and dig out the existing NVMe drive that's in there. It's only 256 gigs. And all I have to do is just pop that one out, slide this one in. I mean, because even getting this out of here is fairly easy. I just turn that, boom, there it is. Here it is. So I'm just going to keep this in this enclosure for now. And then when I'm ready, I'll take that halfway apart, because it has to be. There's no easy way to get that NVMe drive out of there because there's a case fan on the top and it's butt up against it. Why? Elecro, why did you do that? There was no reason to do that. You're trying to keep people from working with the hardware. That's all I see. So I just take the side panel off. I take the top / back because that's all one piece. Take that off, and then I have to unscrew the or when I take that piece off, I'll have clear access to the NVMe drive, and then at that point I can take that out, pop this one in, this guy, and power it up, and it'll boot. Now, of course, with Raspberry Pis, and I'll grab this guy, you have a micro SD card slot right here. Well, if I put it onto an NVMe drive, how am I going to boot it if it's not on here? There's an instruction that can be done through Raspberry config where you tell it to boot from the NVMe drive. So, and that is currently how that is set up. I have a boot drive or boot card, as a default of sorts, in the SD card slot, and micro SD card slot. It's the size of my fingernail, and it's currently set to boot from the NVMe drive. So take that drive out, pop this one in, turn it on, and it should boot right away. So there we go. And I'll keep the current SD card in there so that it'll make it easier for me to do backups to this drive. And to run occasional updates on Raspberry Pi OS on that SD card. But that's it. And then I can just move forward with the NVMe install. So, but I'm not doing that today, mainly because I don't have the mental motivation to go ahead and do that. It's very easy to do, but it will take a little bit of time. I have to set aside 20, 30 minutes to do that. But I don't want to do that today because today is Thursday. And have to get ready for the Switch to Linux Weekly News Roundup, which streams live on YouTube, Odyssey, and Rumble. And I am a stream assistant, and I'm also a moderator of the chats on all three publishing platforms. And it is currently, it's only a little past 2 in the afternoon, but I've got some stuff to do on here that I need to do. So I'm going to be doing that. And maybe tomorrow, maybe over the weekend. So I'm going to be back in a sec to do that stuff. So let's just zoom right to that. So here we go. Okay. I've powered it up. We've given it time to boot up and everything. And why don't we see if it's running? Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah, here we go. Collaboration platform that puts you in control. What's new? We're going to skip all that. Nextcloud on all your devices. Seamless integration with your devices. Sync up desktop app, calendar, contacts. More about Nextcloud. Explore more apps. Get involved. Need help. Large organizations. Okay. Next, new in Nextcloud Hub 26 Winter. Whoa, growing sovereignty. Yeah, EU, hello. Nextcloud Talk. I might want to try that out, especially for STL. Let's see. Office document comparison. Okay. Whiteboard. Nextcloud Assistant Performance. AI labeling. No, thank you, AI. Don't need that part. E2EE, end-to-end encryption in the web interface. Thank you. speed up with ADA engine, and many more improvements. Experience the brand new Nextcloud hub. Very nice. Okay. Share on social media. Don't really need to do that, so I'm gonna X out of that. Here it is. And I've got notifications. Yeah, we'll allow it. Yeah, help improve Nextcloud. Okay, that's awesome. All right. Get out of you. Yep. Add your profile information. I'll do that later on. Okay, no more notifications. Here it is. This is funny. The logo is supposed to be right here. Yeah, I'll fix that. But yeah, we got dashboard, files, photos, activity, contact, calendar, notes, tasks. Nextcloud Pie. That's curious. I'll play with that. Good afternoon, and we've got recommended files, upcoming events, and we can customize this with anything we want there. I'm going to uncheck these for right now. And boom, gone. Sweet. Oh, this is absolutely fabulous. That's just awesome. All right, so I've got it up and I've got it running on CJ. What do I do at this point? I'll figure it out. It's up, it's running. I'm not in a rush to do anything with this, and there we go. So yeah, I've got Nextcloud up and running on Raspberry Pi 5, the one that was donated to me by Mythos, named CJ. And yeah, so I gotta think about this for a second. Hold on one second. All right, so yeah, so thinking about it, yeah, what am I gonna do with it? Well, the ultimate purpose of wanting to do this was so that I could have CJ be used for switch to Linux and my own channel. So there we go. Just that there. Now, what I'm currently using for Nextcloud is out on Disroot, and I'm not gonna bash on those guys or anything like that. But it's I'm part of the privacy in my home, everything like that, everything I control. There we go, and that's and there we are. So, but what I'm gonna do is, this is the big picture. So the big picture is eventually I want to get all of my Nextcloud stuff copied over from Disroot over to CJ. Now, I'm going to be like copying of sorts. There's ways to export information out of Nextcloud and bring it into another instance and stuff like that. However, Nextcloud on Disroot is only running like version 28 or something like that. So when I export, it goes under, like a CSV or something like that. It's a file type that Nextcloud Hub in the more recent versions don't come in. It doesn't read it. So I'm gonna have to do this manually, which is no big deal. I don't mind playing around with stuff. I like playing with setups and doing things manually. That way, I ensure that, if I need to change anything, I can do it as I'm doing it. So there we are. And this is exciting. But now that I've got it up and running, now comes the testing phase. I decided that if I happened to get it up and running, that, I'm going to, give it time. Let it run without any, big time setups over time. And, so now's the testing phase. Having it up and running, letting it sit, and seeing how it does after some time. I might go ahead and do a couple of small things, but as far as any productionary, if that's a real word, any kind of production work, I'm not going to be setting up or performing things like that. I want to give it some time to sit, simmer, see how it does after some time, and then really kind of get into it and things of that sort. So, yeah, I mean, I'll think about it more and play with it some more, and get familiar with it, stuff like that. I mean, the current user is is like NCP, just straight up. So with Nextcloud Pi, in closing, now Nextcloud Pi is a pre-built. This one was a pre-built instance. Boom, which means all of the behind-the-scenes setups are virtually already done. Now you've got two different points of access. You've got an NCP admin, then you've got an NCP user. I'm not going to play with the admin stuff because that's just going to mess things up. Now with this build, with these predefined builds, all of the behind the scenes stuff, like I was mentioning, it's all your setups are actually done. Your database, everything of that sort, your first user, all of that is already set up. So that is all set. All you have to do is, like I did, you download the image, you write it to your SD card, or in my case, an NVMe drive. I stuck it in there. With my setup, I didn't have to use the SD card at all. And I put it in there, powered it up, and it just took off. Now, for everybody else, SD card, you write it to that, you stick it in there, you fire it up, and you're off. So there you go. And there are, there's help tips and stuff like that are out there and things of that sort to help people out with everything. Excuse me. So, now, people are going to ask, well, how'd you do that? How'd you do that? Well, to address that, over the past few months, past year or so, I can't say how long because I don't know how long it's been going on. But what's been going on is Google, namely, has been going out there and scraping people's how-to videos to get the steps of what they're doing in order to feed AI, like, feed Claude or whoever. Everybody's got their own name for it. I think Claude is Google's, but I could be wrong. Correct me if I am. But what they're doing is they're going out to YouTube and they're scraping people's how-to videos to get the how-tos, and then they're feeding that all. That's being fed into Claude and stuff like that. And so that when you go out onto Google and do a search for, how do I make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich? It's going to go to Claude. And it's going to get Claude's scraping results. And it's going to give it to them. Stuff like that. I'm not doing how-to videos anymore because of that. So I'll show you what I've done, show you the end results like I've just done, but I'm not going to show you how to do it. I'm very sorry. I'd love to do that. I want to do that, but because of AI, I'm not going to. And that's the end of it. Don't tell me otherwise. Or, you should, stuff like that. So seen videos, they're meme videos, but at the same time, they're real. Graduations for colleges. And as soon as the word, the letters AI get thrown out there, the entire place starts booing immensely. People hate AI. I'm not too crazy about it either. Do you have what it takes to stand up to the clankers? / Cylons? That thing. That stuff. Cylons are coming. But anyways, this was getting Nextcloud Pi running on CJ on a Raspberry Pi 5, and it's running. So I'm not going to do anything on this machine with that. I'm going to be doing it all from Solaria, my Linux Mint Debian Edition box. But I'll be doing it from there. And what am I going to do with it? I'm going to, I installed Nextcloud files onto Solaria so that I can sync up all of my STL and the Anchorage files with CJ. And that'll be my new file sync. And I know it worked very well. So there we go. And somebody just talked on Matrix. I don't have it up right now because I'm on the other machine. But either way, I'm going to end it there. So I win. Yay me. Thank you very much. Skál. Talk to you soon.